Wow, good morning, and what a morning. It's supposed to be the hottest day. Well, it's the 1st of May today. It's supposed to be the hottest day of the year so far. 28, 29 degrees later on. It's a nice pleasant 18, 19 at the moment, and we are at Upwood Meadows. I've not been here for a couple of seasons. It's a Green Winged Orchid site, and it's a site of special scientific interest, not least because the meadow with the Green Winged Orchids in, I think it's called Bentley Meadow. It's kind of not been touched. Well, it has literally not been touched by human hand, cultivation, ploughing, fertilizers, all that sort of stuff that comes as norm now. It hasn't been touched for over 750 years, which is ridiculous, but really is that old. And because it hasn't been messed with for that period of time, the Green Winged Orchids love it, because Green Winged Orchids do not like any sort of messing with the soil, any sort of artificial fertilizers, regular ploughing. It likes completely natural, untouched soil, and that's what it gets at Bentley Meadows. So that's why it's a very, very, very tidy Green Winged Orchid site. That's what we've come here today to see, if I can remember where it is, but we'll get there. Right, here we go, Bentley Meadow, also known as Coronation Meadow. I think Bentley is the older name and the original name. I don't know if you can make this out on a camera. It's never quite as obvious on camera as it is to the human eye, as it were, but there's ridges running up this meadow from bottom right of your picture to top left, all the way across this meadow. That's your ridge and furrow landscape, and historical documents position the carving out of this field, if you like, by ploughs drawn by oxen to about 1252, if I recall. And the method that was used to actually create this ridge and furrow fieldscape was a method that sort of died out after the 1400s, so it was definitely shaped, if you like, between those years, mid 13th century to 15th century. That is a long time ago, long time ago, and it's still here, which is why they know this is untouched, because it's not been flattened and leveled like all ridge and furrow fields tend to be. You know, nobody's come in here with a big modern plough and flattened it. It's still exactly as it was 770 years ago. And the orchids love that. The Green Winged Orchids particularly love that. So we shall enjoy the fruits of an untouched meadow. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Green Winged Orchids, but for those that are still sort of starting out and thinking, well, what's a Green Winged Orchid? Well, this is a Green Winged Orchid. This is a pretty stereotypical baseline Green Winged Orchid. They're basically purple, and you have a lighter coloured throat, and on that throat you have 2 rows of spots, as you can see here. So this is a classic standard Green Winged Orchid. The name Green Winged Orchid, or the green winged element of it, comes from those stripes that you can see on the hoods above the flowers. Trust me, they are green, they just don't show very well against purple. Later on we'll see some different colour schemes that will show those green wings, or green veins as it's sometimes known. more clearly, but that is your baseline standard green winged orchid. And the joy of these for me is they are hugely variable. The colours can go from the darkest, richest velvety purple down to pure white, and the patterning as well can vary too. So it's always a joy to walk through a green winged orchid meadow looking for those variations, and I guess the one everybody looks for is the pure white, and I'm sure we'll find a pure white today. We usually do here, so that's our target. But this is your baseline. Now this is what a normal green winged orchid should look like, and most of them do look like this. These are always tough to actually reflect well on film, as they say. This is about as dark as they get. This is a rich, velvety, dark version of the green winged orchid, and you can also see variations in the throat, as in you don't have neat spots, you have sort of blobs here. But like I say, they can vary in so many different ways. One of my favourite variations, which is the pink. There are various subtle shades of pink. This is a nice one. The frilly edged or the frilly flowered green winged orchid. Give them whatever names you want. But yeah, you do see some of these that seem to have a very serrated edge. Gorgeous things to look at, but different again. Yet another variation. It's a very nice soft pink. It does have spots on the throat, but you can only just pick them out. Very nice. I always refer to these as the straw pink variation. You see quite a lot of these at Muston Meadows. Straw pink because of the colours. Well, you can see the veins on here. I mentioned earlier, you'll see the green veins a bit clearer on some different colour variations, and this one shows them up very clearly because it's tilted my way. The hood is blocking out the flower really. That's a belter actually. Really, really nice one. The ultra spotted form. Don't worry about these names, I just make them up. A lot of spots on that one. Lovely colouring on the hood of that one. The white throated form, you see these from a long way off. I don't know what it is, it's just the white throat, which is larger than the white throat of most of the others. The sun hits the throat and they just seem to glow from a distance. That's a nice variation. Those spots on that one is all blobs down the middle, just to be different. A very dark, rich, velvety form. Very luxurious. There's a slightly weird one, or a very weird one. It's a single stem. The flowers growing off the single stem, nice and tall. Doesn't look like any other form. It's even got a curled up, I was going to say got curled up flowers at the top, but they're not at the bottom. But yeah, an unusual one that. A single stalked, slim-line green winged orchid. About halfway through well, I walk up and down the ridges basically, so about halfway through at the moment. No signs of a white. Mind, I always say this when I come here, and there's always one that sort of saves the day, so just getting a bit jumpy now. Can't leave here without seeing a white green veined or green winged orchid. I'll find one, confident. That looks, yeah, there's a lot of white flowers in here that aren't orchids, but that looks like a white green winged orchid. He said, hopefully, yeah, it's going to be, I'm sure. Hold your breath. Yeah, 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 yeah. There you go. It's only part open, but that's a white, pure white green winged orchid. You can see those very, very distinctive green veins on the top. Green wings, call them what you like. They show up best on the whites, not surprisingly. Well, at least we've got one in the bag. If we don't see another one, we've got one. Always good to see. Another nice, rich, velvety coloured orchid. One tip I would give anybody who is cruising up and down a field full of green winged orchids like these is that it's very tempting to walk along and just look down on them, in which case they all look pretty much the same. My tip is get down, even if you're an old codger like me who struggles to get up again. Get down and get face to face with these on their level, because you'll see things you don't see when you're standing up. You get to appreciate some of the subtle differences between one green winged orchid and another, and they are just completely different orchids when you're down and you're looking at them square on. So tough though it might be, get down low, and you'll enjoy these all the more. You know, having seen that lovely white, makes me think I've only seen one pink really, and I love my pinks, so that's become my target now, is to find at least another one or two nice pink coloured orchids. I'm sure we will. Nice, not quite pink, well, could be darkish pink, not the sort of soft pink coloured ones that I prefer, but nice, different at least. Yeah, I like that one. That's probably the best that I've seen so far, including the white. That's a lovely, lovely colour scheme, and it's very much pink. Yeah, I like that one. It's almost lost its spots. It's all sort of blurring into a near flat colour. That's green winged orchid clonkers go. That is a green winged orchid clonker. That's a gem. Love that. We're almost at the end now. I knew there'd be something in waiting. That is lovely. Great colour scheme. That's nice. Right, that's the main meadow done and dusted. Just going to have a quick look in the meadow next door. There were a few in there last time I came here, not many, but can't afford to miss it out. Just dropped into the meadow next doors because one of the old historical documents claimed that this was all part of the same field originally, and that the hedge to our left here was added in more recent centuries. I mean, more critically, it's not really a ridge and furrow fieldscape, which means something has been done with this field in more recent times than the other field, which is why I suspect we're not seeing anything, and probably won't, but I'll have a quick tour around the edges just in case. My orchid detector's just gone off, although I can't really see anything. Oh yeah. Well, there's a few. I thought it was pink for a moment. I thought, well, that's a claim for a secondary field, as it were. Still a nice one. Yeah, just for future reference, or if you come here down the bottom of this field, there's about 50 or 60 green winged orchids. This is good because there's no reason why they shouldn't spread, one assumes, over the decades. The main meadow is behind that hedge in the background there. So when you come out there, turn left, come down the bottom, and you never know, you might find something more spectacular than I found, but it's still good to see them here. Right, I'm wilting now, dehydration kicking in, time to escape, I think. Yeah, that's Upwood Meadows for you. I mean, if you live anywhere like I do, I'm 25 minutes away, so if you live anywhere that's reasonably close, it's well worth the trip. And it always has been. I would say it's not as good now as it was in some of the previous visits. Numbers slightly down, could be something to do with what is undoubtedly now a drought that's kicking in. Still good numbers there, still good numbers, easy 1,000 plus. If I was critical, I'd say that 95% are not just purple, but are pretty much the same pattern and same form. So there's not so much variety here as you get in some of the other sites, but it's a happy place for me to be wandering for an hour around a field like that, up and down the ridges and up and down the furrows, looking for something that's slightly different. And we got a white, and we just about got some pinks as well, so I'm happy with that. And it's such a lovely morning. This is the sort of place to be. So yeah, that's Upwood Meadows done. Not done with green wings yet. Early next week I will be heading back, because I can't resist it, to Upwood Meadows. It's one of those sites, along with the likes of Kenfig in South Wales, which once you've been there once, it's very hard not to go there every single year, because it's just so spectacular. So we'll be going after green wings again at Upwood Meadows, but I'll do it a little bit different. I don't want to make it another boring, you know, here's type A, here's type B, because there are tens of thousands at Upwood Meadows. So we'll see if we can't pick out a sort of top 20 of Upwood Meadows. That means it won't be so painful to watch, but at the same time I can pick out what will, I can guarantee you, be 20 of the most spectacular green winged orchids you're ever going to see. Absolutely guarantee you that. So I'll be doing that early next week, and as ever, thank you for tuning in today. Any comments, chuck them on the bottom of the video for me. I always appreciate that. Any tip-offs about other sites, appreciate that even more. So I'll be very, very grateful if you've got any sort of places that you think I absolutely must visit. But otherwise, thank you for today, thank you for being here, and I will see you hopefully in the next video.